In the quiet town of Merriton Falls, people disappear, vanishing without a trace. No one knows why, except him. Arthur Gale, once a respected taxidermist, is back, obsessed with bringing his lost wife to life, using anyone who crosses his path. This is the story of the Collector of Shadows, a chilling tale of obsession, darkness, and the horrifying lengths one man will go to. If you dare, listen closely, because once the shadows are collected, there's no escaping them. The Collector of Shadows. The Merriton River ran black under the October moon, carrying fallen leaves and secrets downstream. For years it had been quiet, just another ribbon of water cutting through another small, dying town. But people said the river had memory. It didn't forget faces. It didn't forgive. And lately, it had been whispering again. The Silver Diner sat on the edge of town, the kind of place that never truly closed, though it always looked half dead. On that Friday night, Clara Benson was the only waitress left on shift. It was almost midnight when the last customer, a trucker, left, leaving the faint scent of coffee and diesel behind. Clara wiped down the counter, humming quietly to the jukebox's soft hum. When the clock hit 12:14, she switched off the lights, locked the door, and stepped outside into the cold. Her breath came out in clouds. The street was empty, except for one parked car across the road. Black, unmarked, headlights off. She ignored it. Merriton Falls was full of weirdos. She pulled her coat tighter and started walking the familiar route home. Past the post office, the burned-down hardware store, then through the stretch of road that led to the bridge.
Halfway across, she stopped. Someone was behind her. She didn't hear footsteps, but she felt them, that heavy awareness of being watched. "Hello?" she called. Her voice was small against the wind. Nothing, just the hum of the river below. She kept walking, faster this time. Her phone's flashlight swayed back and forth. Then a sound. Soft, deliberate, gravel shifting behind her. She turned. The bridge was empty. A moment later, a hand came around her mouth. The air reeked of chemicals. Her scream dissolved in the wind. The flashlight fell, rolling to the side of the bridge, its light landing on something metallic, a long surgical needle lying in the dirt. The next morning, only her phone and a blood-stained scarf were found.
Sheriff Tom Rourke had been on the job for 20 years, and he'd seen the town shrink from life to dust. Merriton Falls had lost its factory, its people, and maybe even its soul. But it had never lost a person. Not like this. By the third day, the local news was running the story on repeat. Missing woman, Clara Benson, age 24. The picture of her smiling in front of the diner window was taped everywhere. Gas stations, shop doors, lamp posts. Rourke drove the same route she took every night, bridge to diner, diner to home. Nothing stood out until he noticed the smell. Not blood, not decay, something sharper, cleaner, like a lab. He recognized it. Formalin. He hadn't smelled that in 15 years, not since the day they pulled Arthur Gale's burned house from the ashes. The name rose in his mind like a ghost. He didn't say it aloud. Not yet.
2 weeks later, a hunter came into the sheriff's office. His name was Eli Turner,
and he looked pale enough to pass for one of the corpses he used to hunt. "There's something in the woods, Sheriff," he said, voice shaking. "A building. Not old, but not new either. It ain't right." Rourke went out there with him the next morning. The trail twisted deep into the pines, where the air turned cold and the earth smelled of rot. The trees grew so close that the sky disappeared. And there, half hidden by vines and shadows, was a barn. The structure was old, black wood, rusted hinges, but the padlock on the front door was fresh and shiny. Rourke drew his pistol. "Step back," he said. The lock snapped with one hard swing of the crowbar. The smell that came out was wrong, sweet and chemical and dead all at once. Inside, the light of his flashlight swept across something that made the deputy behind him gag. Rows of mannequins, men, women, children, standing in a half circle. Each wore real clothes. Each had a name tag pinned to the chest. Clara, Evan, Margaret. The faces looked human, but the skin had a dull sheen, waxy and lifeless. Their eyes glinted, glass. And across every chest, one word carved by hand. Mine. The next morning, Rourke was at his desk before sunrise. He didn't sleep. He couldn't. The property had no record, no owner, but when he traced the coordinates far enough back, through outdated county maps, the land once belonged to Arthur Gale. Rourke stared at the old file. The photos inside were yellowed, the ink fading. But the name was clear. Arthur Gale, taxidermist. 15 years ago, Arthur's wife, Yelena, drowned in the Merriton River. The autopsy said accidental. Arthur never accepted that. He'd shut himself inside his workshop, spending weeks alone. People said they heard him talking through the walls, to her. Then, one night, the house caught fire. The flames took everything. Or so they thought. Now, looking at those mannequins, their waxy skin, the precision of the sewing, the smell of formalin, Rourke knew exactly who he was dealing with. The collector had come home. By Monday morning, the FBI had sent a man from Quantico, Special Agent Daniel Cole, early 40s, sharp suit, sharper eyes. The kind of agent who made people nervous just by standing near them. He arrived at Merriton Falls in the rain, stepping out of an old black sedan with a file case under his arm and exhaustion on his face. Sheriff Rourke met him outside the station. "Agent Cole," Rourke said, "didn't think a town this small was worth the Bureau's time." Cole glanced at the missing posters plastered to the walls. 3 disappearances in 2 years, all women under 30. You found something in that barn that changed our mind. Rourke sighed. "Yeah, I wish we hadn't." Cole followed him inside, through rows of empty desks and old coffee makers. On Rourke's desk sat a plastic bag containing a fragment of synthetic skin. Cole studied it closely. "This isn't synthetic," he murmured. "It's treated, preserved." He looked up. "What exactly are we dealing with, Sheriff?" Rourke hesitated before answering. "A man named Arthur Gale. Used to run a taxidermy shop 15 years ago. Lost his wife in the river. Burned down his house after. Everyone assumed he died in the fire." Cole flipped through the old case file, his expression tightening. "You ever find a body?" Rourke shook his head. "Not even ashes." That night, Cole set up temporary quarters in the old motel on Route 9. Rain hammered against the window.
The town outside looked half forgotten, just flickering streetlights and fog. He opened his laptop and reviewed evidence from the barn. Among the files was a video labeled simply Real_01. He hit play. The camera was old, maybe from the early 2000s. It showed a workshop, shelves lined with jars, scalpels, needles. Someone was humming off camera, a low, almost tender tune. Then a man stepped into view, mid-50s, thin, with pale skin and a face that seemed stretched too tight over his skull. He wore a leather apron. His eyes never blinked. He adjusted the camera, smiling faintly. Preservation. It's the only way to fight decay, the only way to keep love from rotting. He turned toward a figure on the table, a shape under a white sheet. His gloved hand reached down and stroked the fabric like he was brushing hair. Then he whispered, "Welcome home, my dear." Cole shut the laptop. For the first time in years, he felt cold.
By the following week, Cole had mapped every missing person in Merriton Falls over the last 2 decades. 12 names, 9 confirmed vanishings. All had one thing in common. They disappeared within a mile of the river. He and Rourke stood at a county map tacked to the wall, dots of red string crisscrossing like veins. Rourke traced his finger along the waterway. "It's like he's following it," he said. "The river's his hunting ground." Cole nodded. "He's reenacting something. His wife drowned here. He's trying to control death, to reverse it in his own way." Rourke stared at him. "You think he's keeping them alive?" Cole didn't answer. A week later, a fisherman reported hearing screams near the north bend of the river. Cole and Rourke responded within the hour. The path wound through mud and reeds until they found a trail of footprints, small, barefoot, leading into the forest. Then they saw it. Another cabin. Smaller than the barn, but freshly built. Cole drew his gun. "We go quiet." The door creaked open under his push. Inside was a single light bulb swinging gently above a chair. On that chair sat a woman. She was alive. Barely. Her skin was pale, her wrists marked with needle scars. Her eyes flickered toward them, unfocused. Cole rushed forward, cutting her bindings. "It's okay. You're safe." But as he spoke, she whispered something. Her voice cracked and thin. "He's here." The light went out. Gunfire erupted as something moved in the dark. A shape, tall, silent, darted behind a wall. Cole fired once, twice. The only reply was the echo of his shots. Then came the voice, calm and steady. "You shouldn't have come here, Agent Cole." Cole turned toward the sound. "Arthur Gale?" he said. "Names don't matter. Only what we leave behind." The door slammed. Footsteps vanished into the woods. When they chased after him, all they found were boot prints leading to the river, and stopping there, as if he'd walked straight into the water. The current was black, silent, endless. The woman they rescued was Emily Harris, 27, missing for 9 days. When questioned, she could barely speak, but fragments of her memory returned like shattered glass. "He kept talking about his wife," she said. "He said he was making her again, from us, from pieces of us." Cole exchanged a grim look with Rourke. "Where did he take you?" "Sometimes the barn. Sometimes somewhere else. A place under the ground. He called it the gallery."
2 nights later, Cole found the entrance. A drainage tunnel beneath the old bridge, one that fed into the Merriton River. The smell was unmistakable, decay and disinfectant. They followed the tunnel half a mile until it widened into a chamber. Electric lights flickered along the walls. And then they saw it. Rows of figures stood in silence. Human forms suspended in glass tanks, preserved in clear fluid. Faces perfectly intact, as if asleep, their eyes open, watching. Each tank had a name etched into metal plates. Elena, Clara, Margaret, Emily. Rourke's voice broke. "Dear God!" Cole approached the center of the room. There, on a raised platform, was a single unfinished figure. Female, pale, almost complete. And beside it, Arthur Gale. He looked older now, his hair silver, his hands trembling, but his eyes burned with the same awful devotion. She was everything, and they took her, so I brought her back, one piece at a time. Cole raised his weapon. "It's over, Arthur." Arthur smiled faintly. "No, Agent, it's beginning." He reached for a lever on the wall, and before Cole could react, Arthur pulled it, and the floor beneath him gave way. Water burst through the chamber, pouring in from the river. Lights flickered, alarms wailed. Cole hit the ground hard, the current dragging him toward the tunnel. He saw Arthur standing in the rising water, holding the unfinished figure in his arms like a lover. "Soon," Arthur whispered, and the water swallowed them both.
When the flood finally subsided, they found no body. The gallery was destroyed, its contents swept into the current. Cole stood on the bridge at dawn, staring at the river. Rourke joined him, silent. "You think he's gone?" the sheriff asked. Cole didn't answer. Downstream, something bumped against the rocks. A mannequin's arm, pale and jointed, drifting toward the bend. And on the shore, tangled in reeds, a single glove lay half buried in mud, the kind Arthur Gale used to wear. Cole looked out at the endless black water. The river whispered softly, like it was remembering.
3 weeks later, Merriton Falls began to quiet down again. The news moved on. The posters came down. But every so often, someone walking near the bridge would swear they saw a shape standing in the shallows. A tall man, cradling something in his arms, humming an old tune under his breath. The same melody heard in that first video, the one he played for his wife. And though no one ever found Arthur Gale's body, the river never stopped whispering his name.